Welcome back to Stars and Gripes, and tonight cracks are starting to appear in the left-wing media's support for the Democrats over the government shutdown.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding their
tactics.
By
the White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This is also, Congresswoman, this is also a choice by Senate Democrats to not vote to open the government. Yes, it is. I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3 weeks worth of SNAP funds.
Food.
Yeah.
Well, joining me to discuss is Gabriella Power, host of Power Hour. This is an interesting one because CNN, Jake Tapper, these are the types of people that would unapologetically just adopt the talking points from the Democrats.
Absolutely.
And it's still, I mean, that was really the bare minimum, so we can't celebrate too hard.
Can't give them too much credit.
Just yet. But at least they're just saying, well, you do know it takes two to tango, and should you want an end, you could have the end.
Yes.
And that bare minimum flummoxed the guest, and they didn't know how to respond to it.
They don't have
That's my favourite part of it.
Well, it's a really tricky one for Democrats to defend when they have voted more than a dozen times to block a GOP bill that would reopen the government. So you know the Democrats are really in trouble when they've lost left-wing outlets like CNN. They've also lost the support of the Washington Post editorial board that put out this week that Democrats openly acknowledge that they are refusing to open the government because it would mean giving up their leverage. It's interesting, CNN also reported this week that during the few weeks that the government has been in shutdown, in terms of popularity, Republicans' polling numbers have actually increased and Democrats have gone down.
Is that right?
That's right, I know. So this shutdown, it's not reflecting well on the Democrats, and I think American people can really see through it.
Who thought that it was a good idea to play chicken with Donald Trump? You know, he wants less spending in the government. It's a win-win for him, whether or not that, obviously, there's a negative impact for people's lives. But it was a terrible idea to think that you were actually going to pull that off and he wouldn't just hold his nerve.
Yeah, and the thing is, there are concerns that the fallout's going to continue from this, as airport staff might not be turning up to work, and also the government may stop distributing food stamps, so it is impacting people. Meanwhile, Democrats are refusing to vote to reopen the government. And what's Donald Trump doing? He's scoring massive wins on the world stage. I mean, look at him this week in his tour of Asia. I mean, absolutely, with trade deals, another historic peace agreement between Thailand and Cambodia. Anyway, so he's winning again on the world stage, and Democrats, they need to get their act together.
All those journalists who were writing a few months ago about how he would destroy the world with tariffs, I haven't heard much from them lately. It's very interesting.
They've gone quiet on that one, haven't they?
But let's move on, because we've got to talk about the Kamala Harris book publicity tour, which continues to, in my opinion, cause her more harm than good, especially with this hilarious interview on Jon Stewart.
I believe he was fully competent to serve.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
That surprises me, actually.
No, I do.
It's just so absurd, and it's just the point. If you cannot make a concession on this point, and we know why she doesn't want to make a concession, because if she makes a concession, then she's lied about it, because she backed it in, day out, when there were clear cognitive issues. But if she can't make a concession about that, it goes to the heart of integrity.
Every American knows, everyone around the world knows that she was lying during those 4 years. I mean, we all saw Joe Biden's cognitive decline. I think after all this time, she still has nothing else to say apart from still spinning out those lies. The truth is, the more people watch Kamala Harris, the less they like her. I mean, you even see left-leaning journalists really shocked by her answer. Really, after all this time, she's got nothing else to offer. I mean, I've sat through so many Kamala Harris interviews. She gives the same answers and they're all delivered terribly. She's still getting caught up on her, like tricked up on her words, word salad after word salad. She's not clear. She's making a pretty terrible argument, by the way, as to why she should be elected president. I mean, she argued there that that Joe Biden, he was fit enough to run for president. Sorry, he was fit enough to be president, but running, that's a different story. So she's essentially saying it's a tougher job to be in the election campaign than it is to be president. So if she was to be elected president, then she would get in, put her heels back, sit back, relax, go to the beach. I mean, do what Joe Biden did, have a sleep half the time.
Well,
like,
they loved it. They loved it because they could secretly run the country being unelected officials. Yeah. And so this was an arrangement which not only they endorsed, but they actually benefited from it. And she was one of these people who benefited because she was doing things like shaping policy and moving chess pieces around when you had the bloke who was supposed to be doing it, who was voted in doing it, who was incapable. So, of course.
And he was at the beach half the time. I mean, he took more holidays. He did. He took more holidays than any other president.
Which is a good gig if you can get it.
Which is why Kamala Harris wants it. She's saying that, you know, the election campaign itself, that's the tough part of the job, but then actually being president, that's the easy part. I mean, looking at Donald Trump and what he's been able to achieve in this just short period of time, hasn't even been a year, has been extraordinary. There is no way that Kamala Harris could achieve half of what Donald Trump has done.
Now, doesn't Jon Stewart have the most brilliant interviewing style? And I know he's a bit of a lefty, but I've always been a fan of Jon Stewart. And I do think he's one of those rare people on the left who, when there is the absurdity of a claim like that, he is one of the few who will actually call it out. And he'll do it with a bit of satire. Yeah, and I love the look on his face, just kind of the raised eyebrows, just looking incredulously at her.
Because it's hard to believe. It's really, after all this time, Joe Biden was fit to be president. It absolutely makes no sense. I mean, Kamala with her media tour right now, promoting her book, 107 Days, also trying to test the water if she can run again to be president. I don't think this is going to help her.
Why would you do it, though? Because I understand that she wants to sell books, but I don't imagine she needs money that much. She's destroying her own reputation, and she's doing interview after... I mean, she even did one on the ABC. We spoke about it earlier in the show with the earlier panel, and she's sitting there getting grilled by Sarah Ferguson. Why would you do that to yourself?
It's so funny. I mean, watching Kamala Harris really become quite testy with Sarah Ferguson there. At one point, she was upset that Sarah Ferguson was asking about Joe Biden and not asking her about the book. I'm here to promote the book. Stop asking me these questions. It's a curious question. I mean, all the deflection.
The aide also stopped the interview at one point.
I know.
There's a clip on Instagram of Sarah Ferguson explaining it,
It's a 20-minute interview. It wasn't a Joe Rogan 3-hour sit-down. I mean, you're getting Kamala Harris giving you the same answer.
Because she's crashing. She was crashing out.
Yeah, she really was. She's getting less. She also started that interview by saying how tired she was. She started the interview saying, I've had 4 hours sleep. It always takes me a day.
It is a tough flight.
Oh my gosh, but it tells you so much about her energy levels and what she would be like if she was really in
whereas Trump just goes.
He goes there and he busts out the dance moves. Yeah.
All right, moving on, because hard left broadcaster MSNBC is actually angry with CNN, and it might just be our favourite feud of the year.
And now CNN eagerly pays a Trump supporter to lie on CNN every day and night for Donald Trump. CNN did this during the first Trump presidential campaign and presidency. CNN regularly paid Trump supporters to lie about Trump on CNN, but the CNN regime then realized that was a mistake. And they stopped doing it. They stopped paying for lies. But then CNN got a new head. The head of CNN for the last 3 years, hired by the Trump-supporting owner and operator of CNN, is an Englishman who thinks paying Scott Jennings to lie about Donald Trump is money very well spent. Scott Jennings, who used to be an aide to Senator Mitch McConnell, was not always a rabid, lying Trump supporter. When he first started appearing on television, he was capable of criticizing some of the more extreme Trump positions, but Scott Jennings figured out where the money is and how he could get his own podcast and decided to become the J.D. Vance of CNN.
Okay, first of all, how about some of that language? A lying, rabid Trump supporter, the use of these kind of inflammatory, these inflammatory qualifiers. But what I see from this is really interesting to me, because what we're seeing is MSNBC trying to carve out what their market proposition is. And they're trying to say, hey, this is our space that we're playing in, and we're not going to do what CNN does and have one single conservative commentator. So there's that's happening. And that's really interesting, I think, from a more macro broadcasting point of view. But we also have this quite insidious ploy to frame conservative opinions as just being lies. You know, I can't win the debate, I'm losing the debate. Then you hear the people losing, they often say misinformation. It's kind of this magic get out of jail free card. When you are completely incompetent, completely incapable of debating, you just say, well, that person's lying. Whereas Scott Jennings, I mean, he is a machine.
He really is.
He really is a great addition. Also, it makes for better television, doesn't it? Because you've got that robust adversarial conversation. It becomes a debate rather than just these one-sided talking points.
Jack, there is so much to say about this. I mean, it's one of the most bizarre monologues, rants that I've ever heard. The fact that he's angry, CNN has one conservative commentator who is a brilliant Scott Jennings. And as you say, it makes for great television. It is the only time CNN's really worth watching is when Scott Jennings is there on the panel actually bringing the receipts, bringing the facts to the panelists who are shocked when they actually hear a bit of the truth from Scott Jennings.
When they get their ideas tested for the first time in their lives.
Absolutely. Scott Jennings has responded to this, saying that this guy, Lawrence O'Donnell, he's completely irrelevant, which he is. I'm pretty across all the MSNBC hosts, so I'll spend too much of my time watching them.
He's the F-grade tier.
Yeah. It really is. But as your point as to who their audience is, I mean, who's he really speaking to by putting out a monologue like that? It shows you that MSNBC is catering to the far, far left. Like the looniest of the lefties are tuning in to watch MSNBC.
Yep.
The fact that this guy is upset, accusing CNN of lying. I mean, look at MSNBC. Earlier this week, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace said that there was no evidence of Democrats ever calling Donald Trump Hitler. Every week there are lies on MSNBC. It's a bizarre rant. This guy's absolutely irrelevant, and it says a lot about that network and who its audience is.
Gabriella Power, it's always fantastic having you on the show.
Thank you.